Brock Lesnar is the most terrifying man to ever step inside a wrestling ring. But even the Beast Incarnate has moments he definitely wishes we'd all forget. Today, we're looking at the funniest, wildest, and most embarrassing Brock Lesnar moments that prove even monsters have bad days. After winning his second WWE Championship in 2003, Brock's first challenger was John Cena. They tore each other apart at Backlash, and Brock walked out champion. Everything was perfect until the very next SmackDown. Lesnar came out looking like the most unstoppable force in the company. Big pyro, big presence, big gold belt around his waist, and then the belt just fell off. It dropped straight to the floor mid-entrance, like it was trying to quit the company before Brock did. Brock looked down, laughed, picked it up, and kept walking. But WWE panicked. They tried to edit the moment out of the episode, replacing it with a different camera angle as if we'd all just forget. One of Brock Lesnar's funniest and most unintentionally iconic moments happened on Raw in 2016. Paul Heyman and Brock were in the ring doing what they always do, hyping up the Beast like a walking natural disaster, until Heath Slater decided he suddenly had nothing to live for. Slater interrupted them, begging for a match because he needed a WWE contract. He started talking about feeding his kids, practically pouring his heart out in front of the two worst people you could ever pick for sympathy. And for a split second, it looked like Brock might actually care. But then reality kicked in, because this is Brock Lesnar, the last man on earth losing sleep over somebody else's kids. "Let's talk about your kids," Brock said. "I don't give a **** about your kids." And then there's the moment that broke the internet. Brock Lesnar is supposed to be the most terrifying man alive. The music hits, the crowd stands up, Paul Heyman hypes him like he's the final boss of WWE, and then Brock walks out, goes to do his usual bounce routine, and his foot betrays him in front of a packed arena, live TV, and millions watching. Brock Lesnar, the Beast Incarnate, slipped mid-stomp and almost went down like a cartoon character stepping on a banana peel. For a split second, the entire world froze. Even Bronson Reed almost broke character trying not to laugh. Paul Heyman's face said everything. He looked like he was buffering. And Brock? He did what only Brock could do. He laughed at himself. He reset, shook it off, and walked down the ramp like nothing happened except the grin gave him away. The Beast couldn't hold it in. Even Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman cracked up at the fact that the most dangerous man in WWE was taken out by the floor. Back in the day, it took a miracle to get Brock Lesnar to break character. The man never smiled, never flinched, and barely talked unless your name was R-Truth. In January 2020, Brock was WWE champion and deep into his nobody is on my level arc. He was so confident he literally entered the Royal Rumble just to prove no one could touch him. But then he ran into the 24/7 champion, R-Truth. Truth walked out there with the most serious face he could manage and proudly announced that he, too, was entering the Royal Rumble. The crowd popped. Brock stared him down. And then Truth dropped the line that changed everything. "You may be a big man, but I know you will go flying over that top rope." Paul Heyman. Brock looked at Paul. Paul looked at Brock. And for one of the only times in his entire career, Brock Lesnar cracked. He burst out laughing, full-on hand-over-mouth, trying not to smile but failing kind of laugh. Even Paul Heyman couldn't hold it together. And then we get one of Brock's most unexpectedly hilarious moments in a match that had absolutely no business being funny. When Brock ended The Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania 30, the entire wrestling world basically short-circuited. So when they ran it back at SummerSlam 2015, emotions were still sky-high. The match was physical, ugly, brutal. Brock was bleeding. Taker was exhausted. Just pure violence between two monsters. But somehow, this match gave us one of the funniest Brock Lesnar moments ever recorded. After Taker hit a huge tombstone, both men were laid out on the mat like they had just survived a car crash. Brock moved first, and instead of selling the pain or going into beast mode, he started laughing. Not a smirk. Not a grin. Brock was lying there cracking up in the middle of a bloodbath. Then The Undertaker sat up and he started laughing too. Two of the scariest men in wrestling history, staring each other dead in the eye, giggling like they were sharing an inside joke at the worst possible time. It only lasted a moment, But it's burned into WWE history. And if that wasn't enough, Brock later flipped Taker the middle finger while being choked out. Only Brock Lesnar could turn a life-or-death fight into a comedy special. And speaking of Brock Lesnar turning serious moments into pure comedy, this next one is Brock channeling his inner Rock completely by accident. A little over a week after becoming a 6-time WWE champion, Brock stepped into the ring face-to-face with Bobby Lashley, two powerhouses, two MMA destroyers. On paper, this should have been one of the most intense showdowns in WWE history. Instead, Brock decided it was the perfect time to try stand-up comedy. Brock suddenly goes, "Knock knock." "Okay, Brock. Who's there?" "Bobby." "Bobby who, exactly?" Back in 2019, Brock Lesnar shocked the world by randomly inserting himself into the Money in the Bank ladder match, climbing the ladder like it was nothing, and walking out with the briefcase. For weeks, he treated the thing like a toy, carrying it like a boombox, dancing with it, having the time of his life. But the real comedy didn't happen until Seth Rollins confronted him. Rollins called him a coward, begged him to cash in right there. And for once, Brock looked like he was actually considering it. He even stepped forward like he was ready to blow Seth's chest open with an F5 and walk out champion again. But before Brock could make a decision, Paul Heyman did what Paul Heyman always does: he saved his client. Not from a beatdown, but from Brock's own lack of reading skills. Heyman opened the briefcase, pulled out the actual contract, and started reading it out loud. And that's when the world learned something incredible. Brock Lesnar didn't know the contract was good for a full year. "I got a year. A year." Brock Lesnar's voice has betrayed him more times than any opponent ever has. Because while Brock might be the most intimidating physical presence the company has ever produced, the kind of guy who can silence 20,000 people just by breathing talking has never been his strongest weapon. And every once in a while, his own voice reminds us why. There are these moments where Brock is absolutely destroying someone in the ring, tossing them, suplexing them, beating them like they owe him money. And right when he's supposed to sound like a monster, he suddenly lets out this tiny, squeaky voice crack grunt that sounds less like the Beast and more like a kitten learning to meow. It's unintentionally hilarious. You've got this 285-pound freight train of a man folding another human being in half, and then that noise suddenly throws the entire crowd off for a split second every time. "I will see you on Sunday." Applause. But Brock Lesnar wasn't done embarrassing people on live TV. Another moment that instantly went viral happened during a backstage interview with Mustafa Ali. Ali was pouring his heart out, talking about his upcoming Intercontinental Championship match with Gunther, chasing his childhood dream, finally getting his moment in WWE. The guy was completely locked in. Serious. Emotional. Exactly what a promo should be. And then Brock Lesnar walked by. No warning. No hesitation. Just one savage drive-by line that bulldozed Ali's entire promo and became the internet's new favorite moment. Get a life, kid. And speaking of things absolutely nobody expected Brock Lesnar to do, let's talk about Brock Lesnar the dancer. Yes, you heard that right. The Beast Incarnate, the guy built like a final boss, actually loves to dance. It all started the night after he won Money in the Bank. Brock walked out with the briefcase over his shoulder, but instead of treating it like a contract, he held it like a boombox. That alone was already hilarious. But the following week, Brock took it to a whole different level. No warning, no reason, just Brock Lesnar vibing like he was at a family barbecue. The camera cut to Seth Rollins, who looked like he was watching the downfall of civilization. Paul Heyman was hyping him up like Brock had just discovered electricity. But the funniest part? Brock was actually good. Like, weirdly good. Good enough that fans still call it one of the greatest accidental comedy moments in WWE history. And if slipping on live TV wasn't enough, Brock somehow managed to top it with the ripped jeans disaster, a moment so perfectly timed fans are still laughing about it. During a segment with R-Truth, already one of the funniest men in WWE history, Brock Lesnar delivered an F5 so hard it didn't just take out R-Truth, it took out his own pants. Right as Brock hoisted Truth up and sent him crashing into the mat, you could actually hear the sound of fabric giving up on life. His jeans split wide open, exposing the fact that even the Beast Incarnate isn't safe from wardrobe malfunctions. But the funniest part? Brock didn't panic. He didn't freeze. He played along. He just stood there smirking, adjusting himself like it was all part of the show, as if ripping your jeans on national television is the most normal thing in the world. And there you have it. Even Brock Lesnar, the most dangerous man in WWE history, isn't safe from a little embarrassment. Slips, voice cracks, ripped jeans, and unexpected laughs. The Beast might be unstoppable, but he's definitely not unbreakable. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Brock's funniest moments, stick around because there are plenty more wild WWE stories coming your way. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.